Hey guys, I hope you all are doing well. I miss you all very much and wish we were back in the classroom together. Today I'm going to be reading through some of the passages in your NTI packet for English and helping answer some of those questions. So once I've read through, if you still have questions, you guys can email me, or most of you have my personal cell phone number, so you can call or text. However you feel most comfortable getting a hold of me, that's what you can do. So if you don't have it in front of you, pause me and go get this one. And we're just going to start with day 1, even though I think we're already to day 5. So if you haven't done anything yet, then you can just move along with me right now. If you have already done those, then you can just wait until I post more later. Also, you guys know that I have kids and animals, so if you hear a screaming baby run through the door, I might have to pause and come back shortly. So be ready for that. It'll happen. All right, so the first passage is A Man on the Moon. And I am starting right here. The space race started after World War II. The United States and the Soviet Union had emerged from the war as the two most powerful countries in the world. They had different systems of government. The United States was the champion of democracy, while the Soviet Union was a defender of communism. Both countries wanted their form of government to succeed in countries around the world. The two countries competed for allies, weapons, and power. Both countries wanted to develop rocket technology for their own power and protection. The United States had an early victory by being the first to develop the nuclear bomb, but space was the next frontier. Although the Germans had been the first to develop modern rocket technology, rocket science had begun long before the war. The first rockets were developed in China in the 12th century. The Chinese had already invented gunpowder and fireworks. These rockets were weapons that were an extension of that technology. The technology spread through Asia and then to Europe when India used gunpowder rockets against the invading British. Britain then used them against the United States, as the lyrics to the Star-Spangled Banner relate, in the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air. Here comes first interruption.
Wait, what's in here?
Oh, what, Layla?
I'm because Jojo's not getting.
Jojo's not getting in.
I will show you. I locked him in.
You locked him in?
I locked him out.
You locked him out. Okay. Can Mommy keep reading? Okay. All right. So, next page. Paragraph 5.
Mom, I love you, Mom.
I love you too. In 1898, a Russian school teacher, Konstantin, we'll say Shulkovsky, proposed the idea of using rockets to explore space.
Here, Mommy.
Okay.
Here, Mommy.
Okay. Take it off. Okay, let's try that again. In 1898, a Russian schoolteacher, Konstantin Shulkovsky, proposed the idea of using rockets to explore space. Although deaf from childhood, Shulkovsky was an active inventor, and he developed the math that made modern rocket science possible. The next great advance in rocket science came from an American, Robert H. Goddard.
My yogurts are gone. My yogurts are gone.
I think there are more yogurts. He experimented with liquid fuel for rockets. In 1926, Goddard tested the idea. The flight lasted for only 2.5 seconds and landed about half a football field away. Goddard's experiments continued, though, and his work changed how high and how fast rockets could fly. Hermann Oberth, another great rocket pioneer, published a book in 1923 about rocket travel into outer space. His writings inspired many small rocket societies around the world. In Germany, members of the Society for Space Travel experimented with rocket designs and that eventually led to the development of the V-2 rocket, used by Germany during World War II. After the war, the United States and the Soviet Union captured many unused V-2 rockets. Many German rocket scientists came to the United States. Others went to the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union pulls ahead. Paragraph 9. On October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik. Stop it, baby. Stop kicking. Get down, okay? On October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, the world's first artificial satellite. It was about the size of a beach ball, weighed about as much as an adult male, and orbited Earth in less time than it takes to watch a movie. The Sputnik launch crossed a new frontier for human beings entering space. Its success captured the world's imagination. It also caught America off guard. Not only had they lost the race to space, but Americans also feared that Soviets would now be able to launch nuclear missiles from Europe to the United States. While America was still reeling from the news, the Soviets chalked up another victory. On November 3rd, Sputnik 2 carried a dog into space. It was the first animal to orbit Earth. Next page, paragraph 12. America rallies. A few months later, in January 1958, the United States launched Explorer 1. This satellite carried some scientific instruments. The data gathered from this mission led to the discovery of magnetic radiation belts around the Earth. Then, in July 1958, hey Layla. Thank you. Then, in July 1958, Congress passed a law that created the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. The United States was determined to win the space race. Girl. To the moon. Paragraph 13. The moon was the next frontier. The Russians again were leading the way. They crash-landed the spacecraft Luna 2 on the surface of the moon in 1959. Then they sent Luna 3 in orbit around the moon to photograph its dark side, the side that is always turned away from the Earth. That was the first time anyone had seen it. Meanwhile, the United States launched 2 monkeys into space and recovered them from a splash landing in the Atlantic Ocean. Layla. Can you not do that? Layla. Okay. Layla Caroline. Oh, no, this is what it's like having a 2-year-old and working from home, for those of you who are wondering. Okay, so, let's see, where are we at? Layla, will you stop, please? Okay. Paragraph 14. Meanwhile, the United States launched 2 monkeys into space and recovered them from a splash landing in the Atlantic Ocean. The Russians then stunned the world by sending the first human into space. Cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin entered Earth's orbit in Vostok 1. About a month later, the United States launched astronaut Alan Shepard into space on Freedom 7. Layla, stop it, baby. The United States was ready to make a bold move ahead. President John F. Kennedy had a plan, and he shared it in a speech to the United States Congress on May 25, 1961. He asked the nation to pull together to meet the challenge of putting a man on the moon. Okay. Chapter 17, from President John F. Kennedy's speech to Congress, May 25th, 1961. Now it is time to take longer strides. Time for a great new American enterprise. Time for this nation to take a clearly leading role in space achievement, which in many ways may hold the key to our future on Earth. Recognizing the head start obtained by the Soviets with their large rocket engines, which gave them many months of lead time, and recognizing the likelihood that they will exploit this lead time, for some time to come in still more impressive successes, we nevertheless are required to make new efforts on our own. For while we cannot guarantee that we shall one day be first, we can guarantee that any failure to make this effort will make us last. But this is not merely a race. Space is open to us now, and our eagerness to share its meaning is not governed by the efforts of others. We go into space because whatever mankind must undertake, free men must fully share. I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth. No single space project in this period will be more impressive to mankind or more... Layla, stop. Get out. Get out. Yes. Okay. So, pause time. I don't know if I can turn the camera around. She is in the dog crate where we're working on a big puzzle. Hey Layla, will you get out of the dog crate? That's for the doggies, not for Layla. Would you like to say hi to the video? Again, adventures in having a 2.5-year-old. Alright, so let me start over on paragraph 19. Remember, this is John F. Kennedy asking Congress to support the space program. I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth. No single space project in this period will be more impressive to mankind or more important for the long-range exploration of space, and none will be so difficult or expensive to accomplish. But in a very real sense, it will not be one man going to the moon. If we make this judgment affirmatively, it will be an entire nation, for all of us must work to put him there. Let it be clear that I am asking the Congress and the country to accept a firm commitment to a new course of action, a course which will last for many years and carry very heavy costs. If we are to go only halfway or reduce our sights in the face of difficulty, in my judgment, it would be better not to go at all. All right, so let's see, we have just there's a little bit more on Man on the Moon. So let's go back. Let's stop there and go back to the page 65, where you see the first stars. Those are the ones that you are required to do. So if you need to get a separate sheet of paper, go ahead and do that now.
I wasn't reading.
You're gonna watch me read?
My ink is all gone.
Okay. All right, so the first question.
I want to help you read.
Thank you.
I want to help you read. I will help you read, Mom.
So let's start, Layla Caroline. Stop.
I will help.
Let's do the comprehension check that's at the very bottom first.
Mom.
It asks, what inferences?
I will help.
Okay. You want to sit here next to me? Do you want to sit on the camera? You want to sit in the picture of the camera? You know what I'm trying to say. You don't, because you're two. Okay. Anyways, comprehension check. Bottom of page 65. What inferences can you make about the effect of war on the development of space technology? Okay, so on page 64, it says the space race started after World War II. So the two main countries that were involved in this space race were the United States and the Soviet Union, which is now Russia. Those two had emerged out of the war as the two most powerful countries. So we can infer that the effect of war on the development of space technology, one thing we can infer is that the leaders of the war, the people who did the best, they were at the top of the development for space technology. So one inference you can make is that the winners of the war were also in the lead in the space race. You can make other inferences, but you can use that one. That one works just fine if you want to put that there. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I put paste on it.
Thank you. You put toothpaste on the pizza? Yummy.
I put trouble. I put side on it. I put top on it.
Yeah.
I eat it.
You eat it? It's not real pizza and toothpaste. All right. So,
That's Mommy.
C.
That's my toothpaste.
That's your toothpaste?
It's my toothpaste right here.
Okay. All right, so let's go up to C, where it says cite evidence. How were the Soviets able to launch Sputnik 1? Circle the paragraph that gives you some clues. All right, let's go back in and find where the Soviets were able to launch Sputnik 1. Thank you.
Eat it. Eat it. You just take a piece. You take a piece. You take a piece. You just take a piece on my hand.
And a piece on your hand.
You take a piece. You
Okay.
take a piece right here. You take a piece. I don't have my spoon. What about my trouble for it?
Okay, I'm sorry guys.
I
I
put
know this is
trouble for it.
probably taking
Eat
way
it.
longer than it
Eat
should
it.
because
Eat it.
I'm eating fake pizza.
Put pizza right mine.
Okay, so good. That was so good. All right, so the first time we see anything about Sputnik 1 is in paragraph 9 under the Soviet Union pulls ahead. So let me reread that paragraph. It says, on October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, the world's first artificial satellite. It was about the size of a beach ball, weighed about as much as an adult male, and orbited Earth in less time than it takes to watch a movie. The Sputnik launch crossed a new frontier for human beings.
You see piece hole. You see piece hole. You see piece hole. You see the
Not only
piece.
had, it also caught America off guard. Not only had they lost their race to space, but Americans also feared that the Soviets would now be able to launch nuclear missiles from Europe to the United States. All right, so the, for C, how are the Soviets able to launch Sputnik 1? Circle the paragraph that gives you some clues. Okay, so
I was done here.
in paragraph 7 and 8, it talks about how the rocket pioneers a rocket pioneer published a book in 1923 about rocket travel into outer space. And it says his writings inspired many small rocket societies around the world. So that helped the Soviets, but I think there's a better one. Paragraph 8, after the war, the United States and the Soviet Union captured many unused V-2 rockets. Many German rocket scientists came to the United States and others went to the Soviet Union. I want you to put a circle around paragraph 8. Okay, so the Soviets were able to launch Sputnik 1 because they had been watching other countries make advancements in rocket science. So in 1898, that was whenever the modern rocket science studies were proposed. And then you had Robert Goddard, who tested the idea of rockets flying. And then in 1923, the one I just read, the German members of the Society for Space Travel experimented with rocket designs that eventually led to the development of the V-2 rocket. So, the war also impacted space technology because the rockets that were used by Germany during World War II were taken by the United States and the Soviet Union and were tested by German rocket scientists in the United States and in the Soviet Union. So if you were going to sum up how were the Soviets able to launch Sputnik 1, I would say that they were able to launch by studying the V-2 rockets and Layla, by studying the V-2 rockets and employing a bunch of German rocket scientists to help them study space.
I will sit on
And
I'll sit on here. I'll sit on him, Mom.
okay, that's you can't sit there, baby.
I want to sit.
No, you can't sit right there.
I'll sit right here.
Okay, so again, you should have circled
I will sit right here. I will sit right here.
paragraph 8.
I will sit right here.
D says put a box around the word in paragraph 10 that means an area that forms the edge of settled territory. If you're not sure
I will
what...
sit right here.
Layla, honey.
I will sit right here.
Okay, you'll have to wait a minute. Yes. Yes. Oh. And here come the rest of my children. I'm recording video for school, so...
Sorry.
Do the breath.
Remember how it told me not to do a full sentence? Now it wanted me to. I got literally all of them wrong. But the last time I got all of them wrong because it didn't want me to put sentences.
Ask if you can have a retake, okay? Or a redo.
Give me no yogurt, Mom.
Or if he'll look over
Give
it
me
again,
no
okay?
yogurt.
Okay.
Mom, I think it'll Pokemon Go.
Nice. That's fantastic. No. Layla, would you like to go with your brother?
No, I just saying here.
You're just staying in here. Okay.
No, I don't want. I want to my mommy at her.
Okay. So, D, again,
This right here.
put a box around the
That's
word
right
in paragraph
here.
10. That means an area that forms the edge of settled territory. If you're not sure what this word is, Use a dictionary to look up all the unfamiliar words in the paragraph until you find it. Okay, so we are looking for a word that means an area that forms the edge of settled territory.
Give me a yogurt. Give me a yogurt.
Go ask your brother to get you one, okay?
No, you give me one.
No, Mommy's working.
Mommy.
And you've already had two. Okay. The Sputnik launch crossed a new frontier for human beings entering space. Its successes captured the world's imagination. It also caught America off guard. Not only had they lost the race to space, but Americans also feared that the Soviets would now be able to launch nuclear missiles from Europe to the United States. Okay, so I think there's really only one word in that paragraph that we could consider an area. And if you all didn't get it already, put a box around the word frontier. So paragraph 10, put a box around the word frontier. The Sputnik launch crossed a new frontier. So it means an area that forms the edge of a settled territory. That's what it's getting at. All right. We'll do E, and then we will call it a day on this one. And hopefully I can record more later whenever maybe my baby is down for a nap. Those are my keys, yes. Okay. E says double underline a sentence that gives clues about how Americans felt about the Soviet Union at this time. Which words and phrases most helped you make an inference? Yes, you can wear them around your neck.
I put this on the neck.
Okay.
I put this on the neck.
I'm going to paragraph 10 again.
I want to put this on your neck. I want to put this on your neck.
Thank you. Better?
That's your key word. That's your key word this time. Pocket. And she'll
All right. So, Layla. She just set off the car alarm in the garage. If you didn't hear. Okay. So, in paragraph 10,
I wish you wear one. I wish you wear one. I wish you wear one.
I want you to underline the sentence in paragraph 11. I know you can't really see paragraph 11, but it's after 10. Put an underline under, while America was still reeling from the news, the Soviets chalked up another victory. Okay, and I think some of the words in there that help you figure out how America is feeling would be reeling. So it's bold. You can write reeling down, or maybe circle it or highlight it. Reeling means like they're still processing. So if you're still reeling from some news, you're still trying to take it all in.
Where's my new pizza?
So America
Where's
was
my
still.
new pizza?
I don't know where the little pizza is. America was still trying to process the fact that they had lost this first part of the space race, and then says the Soviets chalked up another victory. So chalked up another victory, you can circle or underline that phrase or highlight it.
I know my no pizza is.
If you have a highlighter, or if you just want to write it out to the side under E, you can do that. So reeling
You can have your piece on your
and
shorts.
chalked up another
You
victory.
can have your piece on your shorts.
Because the Soviets chalking up another victory means, like, not only had
In
they,
my toe.
yes, been victorious once, but now they are again emerging as victorious
It's in
a
my
second time.
toe.
So
It's in my toe.
you guys should have the comprehension check done, part C, D, and E done on page 65.
It's
So
in my toe now.
I will try to get
It's in my
66
toe.
and 67 done.
It's in my toe.
It's in your toe, yes. 66 and 67 done later today, and we will try to get caught up
It's in my
to page
toe.
73
It's in my
over the next couple
toe
of days
now.
and get completely on track with the
It's in my
page
toe.
assignments. And then we will move on to math. Or I might switch it up and do a little bit of math, a little bit of English, but I think that it would be best if we just got
It's in my
all
toe.
of ELA done first, and then we can go straight on to math. So
It's in my toe.
I hope you all have a great day. I hope
It's in
this
my
was a little bit
toe.
helpful.
It's in my toe.
It's in your toe, yes. And maybe provided a little bit of insight
No,
into Miss Morgan's life
I get
at
my
home.
paw.
If you have questions or need me to reread something or need anything
Yeah,
at all,
my
just somebody to
toe.
talk to, because I know that this is a strange time
No,
and
thank
we're all probably starting to go stir crazy being in the house this long. So
you.
if you need anything, I'm here. Text me, email me, call me, whatever you need to do. All right?
No.
You guys have a great day. Talk to you later.